drinks trolley, which arrives around this time every day. David Jacobs' trolley. What have we grabbed, Suze, from it this time? Oh, hang on. Sorry, go again. I had the wrong...
Oh, dear.
Okay. I grabbed, as it went past really, really quickly, a rather refreshing and non-alcoholic orange juice and soda.
Okay, that's very
lemonade,
good. Matt's a little bit disappointed with that.
Disappointed. Well, you can't have an alcoholic drink every day, Matt. So just
can't I, by George?
Tonight's confession comes from Julie. Thank you, Julie, for sending in this tale. The Father Simon and the Forgiving Fraternity. Obviously, Julie gets tonight's smart speaker. I've been carrying this burden around for nearly 30 years. I would like to be cleansed of the sin. I'm a very proud, compassionate, and utmost professional nurse, and currently work in a totally different field of nursing from where this sin was committed. I was a naive student nurse in the early 90s, and as part of the nurse training, we attended many placements which involved shadowing other professionals in their area of work, learning the ropes and assisting the experts where possible. On this particular placement, I was working alongside a district nurse and the home care team. I was placed with a lady I should call Barbara. Barbara was a sturdy, no-nonsense nurse who had worked on the team for many years and had accrued much experience on her travels through the community. Barbara and I were located a list of jobs for the day, which involved attending people's homes, taking blood, redressing wounds, checking on the elderly and assisting them where needed. As we worked our way through the many jobs of the day, we were visiting a new lady who we will call Mavis. Now, Mavis was an elderly lady who needed assistance getting up, bathed and dressed following surgery and a long hospital admission. We checked the address of 12 Temple Road, not obviously the actual
not the real
address,
road, right,
which we found with ease. We knocked on the door and an elderly lady answered the door. And Barbara showed her the ID and said, district nursing team. And Mavis warmly stepped aside and let Barbara and myself into her home and closed the door. Barbara said that we were there to bath her and help her get dressed for the day. So we were slightly surprised to find Mavis already dressed. Barbara checked to see if any district nurse team had visited before us, and Mavis confirmed that we were the first team and how nice it was to see us. Barbara then proceeded to tell me to go and run the bath, dear, while Mavis offered us hospitality and popped to the kitchen to make us a cup of tea. I ran the bath as directed and asked Mavis if she would like bubbles and a change of clothes, as Barbara opened some plastic aprons and gloves so we could help Mavis get bathed. Mavis returned to the bathroom with 2 cups of tea, proceeded to undress and have an assisted bath. Barbara, Mavis and I chatted as we bathed Mavis, making small talk about the weather, what Mavis had been doing during the week, and our daily duties as a district nursing team. We completed the task at hand, helped Mavis get dressed, and made her comfortable back in the lounge as we tidied the bathroom and washed our empty teacups in the kitchen. Mavis stated that the district nursing service was excellent and how she had enjoyed our company and was grateful for the company and support, as she had not had any visitors for a while and she was a little unsteady on her feet. She did, however, ask why we kept on calling her Mavis.
There we go.
No.
As her name was Betty.
Oh.
Barbara and I stopped in our tracks of washing and drying cups in the kitchen and wide-eyed stared at each other as the realization of what Betty had just said to us began to sink in. As the colour drained from Barbara and I, we walked back into Betty's lounge and asked her to confirm what her name and address was. Betty said her address was 12 Temple Street, of course, and as she continued to chat about the wonderful care of the nurses and how she'd telling all her friends about how lovely we were when she goes to bingo at the weekend, and how next week we should buy she would buy some chocolate biscuits for us to have with our tea. As Barbara and I tried not to vomit with anxiety, the awareness of us being at the wrong address and bathing the wrong lady began to sink in. Betty continued to ask which chocolate biscuits we would like and what time next week we would be visiting her. Barbara explained that on this occasion the assisted bath was a one-off complimentary service from the district nursing team, and that we would be unlikely to be back again. We thanked her for the cup of tea, tidied up after ourselves, and did a hasty retreat back to Barbara's car, where we sat in silence for a few seconds. Not a word was spoken about Mavis as we drove around the corner to 12 Temple Road to knock on the correct door of Mavis. Barbara and I did not mention this when we returned to the office, nor did we speak to each other about Mavis ever again. I have not recounted the story since my early nursing days, and just typing this now instills me with guilt and shame. I don't ask forgiveness from Barbara, who has long since retired, but I do ask forgiveness from Betty, as she looked forward to the company, the storytelling and the assistance with a much pleasant bubble bath from the lovely assistant district nursing team. To this day, the mere mention of district nursing team sends shivers down my spine and makes my toes curl as I reflect on that day in question. I know the forgiving and faithful collective will pass an informed judgment for which I must accept and forever carry as a senior nurse and now consummate professional, you'll be delighted to know. Julie, which again is not my real name. Well, everyone seems to have come out of this okay.
Correct.
Sister Susie's in charge. What do you say?
Well, I do feel like what her name was should have come up a lot earlier than it did, rather than after the bath while they were having a cup of tea and washing the cups. Like, that maybe should have been checked as soon as she went in the door, maybe. Yeah. However, you know, Mavis got her bath maybe a little bit later than planned, but Mavis got her bath, and Betty seemed to have a really lovely time. So, Julie, you've held on to this for so long, and I genuinely feel like you feel so anxious about it that I'm going to forgive you.
Brother from another guy.
I mean, I'm definitely going to forgive, because everyone came out of this positively. And it is amazing how people, if you call them by the wrong name, they very rarely contradict you. And I remember interviewing someone on a previous radio station where I called a certain sports star a certain name throughout the entire interview. And when we came off air, he said, "Oh, by the way, that's not my name." And I went, "Well, you could have said something in the previous 5 minutes." So I am definitely going to forgive.